Hello and welcome to ATF TV. Today we welcome Dr. Mark Conan to ATF TV. Mark is Group Chief Investment Officer at Hong Kong-based insurance group AIA and joins us today to take a look at what 2021 might offer investors. Mark, welcome to ATF TV.
Thank you very much for having me. It's great to be here.
So next year, Mark, 2020 was arguably, as they say in Latin, an annus horribilis, like no other. And we are all hoping 2021 is far, far better. In your latest commentary piece for ATF, you look to 2021 and argue that there are three main themes emerging as investors look to allocate capital in the coming 12 months. The three R's, as you call them. Can you briefly summarize these for us, please?
It'll be my pleasure. Yes. So as we're looking out into next year, two of these themes are sort of macro, and one is sort of at a micro market level, if you like. So the first one is rebound, R for rebound, which is economic recovery, really. And what we're talking about there is we're seeing the full effect coming into 21 of all the stimulus measures that have been applied during the course of 2020. So put aside for a moment the discussion that's underway on whether or not the US will approve another budgetary stimulus package. What's already been put on the table, what's already been provided by central banks, both in the US and globally, will provide enough of a tailwind so that as we get through 2021, the year-on-year comparisons will show very strong economic growth. And that provides a wonderful backdrop for improving earnings results for companies as we see the effects of that economic recovery permeate its way through the various economies and lift the corporate sector quite significantly. So if you like, that's pretty much set. And in a way, markets are already priced for that. But nevertheless, we will see that momentum carry through. So maybe some of the risks that are associated with whether or not that will be achieved will start to dissipate once that realization becomes more widespread. The second area really is rotation. And here what we're talking about is rotation principally in the stock markets. So we've seen a significant recovery from the lows that we experienced in March in many stock markets globally. In this part of the world, the Asian region as a whole, as measured by various indexes, is up nearly 70% from the low in March. Big rebound, but whether or not all companies have benefited from that rebound is clearly a moot point. And what we're now seeing is investors are scouring the universe of available stocks in Asia and globally and looking for those companies, those stocks, which have underperformed the broad market or underperformed those companies that have really led through the recovery and are starting to anticipate that process now of catch up as the investment community starts to appreciate that this recovery is broad based. Some of those companies are likely to play catch up, and that's what we're talking about by rotation. So it's by sector, but also by market internationally, and we'll see that play out throughout the whole of 21. We anticipate, but particularly through the first 3 or 4 months of next year. The last theme is a little bit more contentious. If the first two themes are pretty much priced in, the third one is a little bit more contentious. It relates to the effects of the recovery, of the stimulus, of where we are in the economic cycle, and it's the reflation, it's the R of reflation. So we're not arguing here for a significant step up in inflation, but as we've seen since the global financial crisis, and remember back in 2008, as the Fed and other central banks put a lot of stimulus to work, there was an expectation that inflation would come back. It never did. The capacity that was being used up in the global economy was far below the maximum that was available. And as a result, central banks have missed their targets successively since 2008. Coming out of this crisis, we see a different story. We see some dislocation in supply chains. We see, although short-term rates are anchored at near enough zero levels, we've already started to see a steepening of the yield curve. That means longer-term interest rates are already increasing. And if you like, markets perhaps are starting to anticipate a little bit of pricing pressure And as we go through 21 and into 22, we expect this reflation theme to take hold, and therefore that will impact the way in which businesses are planning their expenditure, their investments, and the way that investors therefore seek to capture gains and position their portfolios. So they're the three themes. So it's rebound, it's rotation, and it's reflation.
Mark, thank you very much for being here with us today.
It's my pleasure. Thank you very much.
And thank you everyone for watching. To read more on Dr. Conan's article or to read the world's best news on Asian markets, economies, and more, please go to asiatimesfinancial.com. I am Christine Zhou reporting for ATF TV from London.